On today's show, we'll give you our final thoughts on the Josh Naylor trade, then give you our Mariners trade ideas for Reverse Fanfiction Friday. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Friday, July 25th, 2025. This is Titan Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. So, on today's show, we're going to be doing Reverse Fanfiction Friday, which means we'll be showing you our Mariners trade ideas. But now that the dust is, of course, settled on the Josh Naylor trade, we wanted to give you our final thoughts on the deal now that we've slept on it as well here to start the show. However, the New York Yankees have made a trade, and they have acquired a third baseman. That third baseman, however, is Ryan McMahon of the Colorado Rockies. So first and foremost, the Mariners have been marked safe from Ryan McMahon, which is huge news.
He's putting on such a brave face right now, guys.
Secondly, the Yankees are now presumably out on Eugenio Suarez.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this mean?
Yeah, what does this mean? I mean, it certainly would appear to be Seattle's in the driver's seat for a Eugenio. And, we know the Cubs are still interested. We know that the Reds are apparently interested. We know that the Astros are interested as well. So it's not like there's no competition for Gino. But probably the team with the best chance to beat you in Gino trade talks is now seemingly bowed out. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to ask, they're going to acquire Gino Suarez to DH still. Like, I can't imagine.
Well, they have Stanton, so that makes some sense. Yeah.
Right. First base is Goldschmidt. So, it seems like they're out. I mean, I think that's a safe assumption. And obviously that's good news for Seattle because they need a third baseman, and the fewer teams that are bidding on Gino, A, increases the likelihood that you're going to be the high bidder, but also B, it might lower the price a little bit because you can't get leverage with a rubber crowbar. So the Yankees are out, and that's the big leverage team that the Mariners were using. Or that the Diamondbacks were using to get the Mariners to pay more. They're out. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We know that Mariners have been talking to the Diamondbacks a lot recently. Obviously, they just got the Naylor thing done yesterday. They've been talking to them about Gino a lot, I'm sure. So this thing could come together quickly with the Yankees bowing out. Again, you still have to watch the Cubs. You still have to watch the Astros. You still have to watch the, probably the Reds maybe. I mean, there's quite a few teams still interested in Gino. And it only takes one team to just offer something you're just not willing to do or willing to beat. So, I wouldn't be celebrating quite yet, but this is definitely a good sign. If you're wanting Gino back is that the Yankees are out of that sweepstakes. So good sign any way you want to slice it. Doesn't guarantee anything, but it is a good sign. No doubt about it.
Yeah. My hope here is that the reason that the Yankees have pivoted is because the Diamondbacks and the Mariners are far along enough on a trade here for Gino that the Diamondbacks just told the Yankees, like, we're getting this. Are you willing to, give us this to essentially outbid Seattle? No. All right. Have a good one.
Yeah. Or it's the asking price is so ridiculously high that, we know we're not going to come to a deal in the next 6 days. There's just no way. And we need to pivot so we make sure we don't walk away from this without our number 2 guy.
Right. And I think it was Joel Sherman today reported that there was a gap between the Yankees and the Diamondbacks on trade talks for Gino. So,
right. There was also a report the other day, I can't remember who it was from, that the Yankees are actually a little bit more focused on pitching than they are on the third base.
And honestly, I think that's a smart route for them to take ultimately, because their offense is so good as is. Like, I think they need to get better in the run prevention area, which they've kind of done here with the McMahon trade.
Yeah. And I do think McMahon is actually a pretty good fit for that ballpark. He hits the ball very hard, and that short porch in left field has made a lot worse hitters than Ryan McMahon look pretty good. So actually, I don't think it's a bad deal for the Yankees. And more importantly, the Yankees are willing to eat $40 million or whatever it is over the next 2.5 years, where the Mariners, if they had done that, that was probably their entire offseason in that one trade. So, it makes more. Ryan McMahon makes more sense for the Yankees than he does for the Mariners, and Gino makes more sense for the Mariners than he does for the Yankees. But we'll see how it plays out. But good news if you're a Gino fan, which I think all of us are.
Yeah, we all are. Yeah. All right. So final thoughts on the Josh Naylor trade. I tweeted this last night, but man, that 2023 Mariners draft class just continues to get better and better. So, last night now, Brandon Garcia, who was part of that draft class, he partly gets you Josh Naylor along with Ashton Izzy. Last year, RJ Schreck got them Justin Turner, as well as, Aiden Smith, Ty Cummings, and Brody Hopkins got them Randy Arozarena. All three of those guys were from the 2023 draft class. Ben Williamson and Logan Evans are already big league contributors. And, Cole Emerson and Johnny Farmello and Ty Pete are also still in your farm system. So like that draft class is insane. And the amount of value that they're extracting out of that draft class is insane.
Already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, this is why the drafting and developing is so important, because even though you don't get to benefit from the fruits of your labor with Brody Hopkins and Aiden Smith, you do indirectly do that because you essentially traded a 4th and a 6th round pick for 2.5 years of Randy Arozarena, and you traded yesterday a 11th round pick or 12th round pick and a 4th round pick for 2 months of Josh Naylor. And so, the draft class is insane. And again, this is why the drafting and develop, this is why the Jerry discussion is very nuanced, because you do not want to lose Scott Hunter or, Justin Toole and the player development staff, because they are very, very, very good at this. Mm-hmm. And we see it now pretty much every year. The Mariners turn, middle of day 2, late or early day 3 type of guys into big leaguers, and they do it in like a year, either by development or they do it by developing these guys enough so that they have trade value across the league. So that's a good observation.
The other really cool aspect about this is that you got him for an extra week. By making this trade early, you got an extra week's worth of games out of Josh Naylor, which is massive, right? Because it's such a limited time, because you were only going to have him for the next 2 months, hopefully 3. Yeah. Getting that, an extra 5 games out of Josh Naylor, whatever it's going to be, like that's a pretty big deal, especially, especially on a very important road trip. I mean, every road trip, every homestand is important, but you're going up against a couple of division opponents that you need to handle business against, and the Angels and the A's. And having Naylor for the bulk of that is massive. I don't think that can be overstated. Yep. So any other thoughts real quick on the trade before we move on, or we pretty much cover everything?
I think we got everything. We'll see where he hits in the lineup. My hunch is that he'll just hit 5th behind Randy. I still think 2nd is probably a really good spot to put him. You could hit him 3rd, but I don't like the idea of moving Cal to 4, because I want Cal to get an at-bat in the 1st inning every night.
I'd love to have him hit in the top 3 against righties, and then maybe move him to like 5th or 6th against lefties.
Yeah, I think Julio leadoff is not really, Julio doesn't like hitting leadoff, and he's talked about that. And right now you want Julio to be focused just on hitting. You don't want any extra things going on in his head. By the way, Julio, good game last night.
Yes.
You don't want anything, the leadoff thing is going to bug him. You don't want that. You just want him to focus. So you're not going to move him up. Naylor's probably a really good number 2 hitter, because he makes a ton of contact. He gets on base. And if you can get JP and Naylor on base and ahead of Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena, you could score runs there. But then Julio's dropping down to 5, and you have, average speed at best with JP in the leadoff spot, and then well below average speed. 2 good base runners, just not fast guys ahead of Cal and Randy. So, it'll be interesting to see how they juggle that. If he's in the lineup at all, he might just report today, and they might give him a day to just kind of decompress and all that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he hits. My hunch is that he'll just slot in fifth. I think 1 through 4 will remain the same, and he'll hit fifth tonight.
All right. So we are going to switch gears here and kick off Reverse Fan Fiction Friday in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is once again brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a Mariners game, either by yourself or with friends or family? You know, maybe it's game day and suddenly you realize, I want to be in the stands. Well, that's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune into the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. So it's Reverse Fan Fiction Friday. What does that mean? Very simply, instead of you submitting your Mariners trade ideas, we're going to submit our Mariners trade ideas to you. You're going to let us know down below how you feel about them. And Colby, how do you feel about people letting us know how they feel about them?
I could not care less what they think of these trades because obviously I'm correct and you guys are all wrong.
Right.
I'm even wearing the perfect shirt for it.
Yeah, your boos mean nothing. I've seen what you cheer.
Every breath I take without your permission only boosts my self-esteem.
Yeah, that is very Colby. That is Colby to a T. So we've got
for sure.
We've got 4 trades each.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just going to go, I'm going to show you a Colby trade and then I'm going to show you a trade from me and back and forth we'll go. So let's kick this off with a Colby trade. Mariners receive Willie Castro from the Twins for Ty Pete and Jeter Martinez.
Says it all. Self-explanatory.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
It's a no-brainer. You do it. Ty Pete or Willie Castro is basically the guy you hope Ty Pete might be someday. And Ty Pete is not that right now. And there are some major concerns with him, but there's also major tools there. And so that feels like a guy who is kind of ideal to flip for a rental player is you want the team who acquires him gets to dream on him a little bit. And the Mariners get to take a guy that helps them this year and move somebody that has major questions. So I think that's a really good trade. Jeter Martinez kind of similar to Ty Pete, lots of tools, not a lot of production right now. So it's a couple of lottery tickets, albeit ones with pretty decent payouts if they hit for a rental player that the Twins can probably replace in-house and is almost certainly going to leave as a free agent this winter anyways. And by the way, Seattle likes Willie Castro. That's been reported. Him and Julio Rodriguez are really good friends as well. So if that matters, I don't know if it does or not, but whatever, it's out there. And I actually could see Willie Castro being a guy the Mariners target this winter as well in free agency. And they already did that with Josh Naylor. So, why not do it with Willie Castro and get these guys in your clubhouse and get these guys in your ballpark and see how they fit and all that before you decide if you want to go out there and spend some money on them this winter. LOL, the Mariners spending money in the winter, I know, but maybe they do this year. Who knows? But Willie Castro can play third base, but he also doesn't prevent you from going out and getting Gino, even with Josh Naylor, because Willie Castro can play short. He can play second. He can play right field. He can play center. He can play left. He can DH. He can even play a little bit of first base. So you can get him 5-6 starts a week without taking more than one start away from anybody else. We've talked about the importance of a utility guy. You don't really have one right now because Dylan Moore is unusable, although he had his best game in a while yesterday, which is funny because he's still an over. But it's an upgrade over Dylan Moore, and it is a great insurance policy just in case you don't land Gino. But if you do, he's a really easy platoon partner with whoever's playing right field, and you can play him 3 days a week on the infield by just giving Gino, JP, and Cole Young 1 day off a week, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So to me, this is I think this is a really good valuation of what the market's gonna lead to. And if you can get him for less than Ty Pete, less than a position play, if you get him for a couple Jeter Martinez, even better. But I think there's going to be some competition here. So I think Ty Pete is a really good headliner for a player like Willie Castro.
All right, so here's my first trade with the Nationals. Mariners receive Michael Soroka, right-handed pitcher, for catching prospect Josh Caron and right-handed pitching prospect Pedro de Costa Lemos. My baseline for this was the Tyler Anderson trade from a few years ago, which was Tyler Anderson for Carter Benz. So I just threw in like an extra lottery ticket on top of this, on top of Caron. But Caron is essentially my Carter Benz, right? It's catching prospect. So yeah,
sure.
Soroka only under club control for the rest of the year. He's due about $3 million still for the rest of the season. 4.85 ERA, 4.05 FIP, 9.58 Ks per nine, 2.77 walks per nine. The thing that I really like here about Soroka, well, a couple things. One, 95th percentile in breaking run value with that slurve. Right now, he is getting opposing hitters to whiff 38.6% of the time on that pitch, and opponents are hitting just 117 off of it. It's a really, really nice pitch. The other thing that I really like about this too is, well, what did we talk about yesterday? When you get to the postseason, your 4 starters are going to be Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, and Brian Wu. You're not going to use a 5th starter. Well, Mike Soroka last year was really good out of the bullpen for the Chicago White Sox. So once I get to October, I can just move him to the bullpen, and I'm actually probably going to get some value out of him, I think. Feel pretty good about that. So I really like the Soroka fit. I don't think it'll cost too much. I think it addresses one need right now and then addresses another need, about 8 weeks down the line. All right, your next trade here is with the Cardinals. 1-for-1 for Phil Maton, right-handed reliever, and you have the Cardinals getting Michael Morales in this deal.
Yeah, the Cardinals have long been looking for young pitching to, develop in their own system, and the guys in their system right now not developing that well. So, you go to a team that's really good at developing pitching. You go and you get granted a low ceiling, but a pretty high floor right-handed pitcher who is reasonably close to the big leagues. And to do that, you give up a rental reliever that you got basically off the scrap heap in free agency this winter for $2 million. Maton's really good. He misses bats. He spins the ball very well. Cutter, curveball type of guy, can definitely handle high leverage innings, lots of experience in the postseason as well. And he's only going to be due about $650,000 the rest of the year. So there's really no impact on payroll. So Morales might be a little high, but again, you're trying to cater the deal towards the Cardinals, who again definitely want young pitching. Haven't had the best luck developing their own guys. So Seattle, very good at developing their pitchers. Morales is a solid prospect, and to get Michael Morales for 2 months of Maton, who's not going to help you do anything this year because you're just so many pieces away from actually being a playoff threat. I think this is a really good deal for St. Louis, and they should take it. Seattle, again, it's Maton they need a back and bullpen guy. Maton is that. He has been this year, and he has been in past seasons as well. Is it a little bit of an overpay? Sure. I don't care. Like the point is 2025, and I can replace Michael Morales in my system in 5 minutes. He's not that irreplaceable. He's a number 5 starter with number 4 upside. I already have a couple of those guys at the major league level right now, so I don't need another one in AA. I'll be fine. So I think this is an aggressive offer, but I think this is a good one, and I think it's one St. Louis would seriously consider. And I think Maton would really help.
All right, so I got a reliever deal as well here. The Mariners get Jake Bird and Jimmy Herget from the Rockies for Dominic Canzone, Tyler Locklear, and Dwell Joseph. So it sounds like a lot, right? Well, Jake Bird is under club control for the next 3 years after this year. He's been one of the 30-ish best relievers in baseball. He's striking out a bunch of dudes. There's going to be value there. And also the fact that he's actually pitched better at Coors Field than on the road probably adds some extra value and some extra interest as well from teams, because as we all know, it is very hard to find success as a pitcher at Coors Field. So so I figure it's going to be a little expensive. I think some of this is just kind of assuming that the Rockies buy into what Dom Canzone has been doing over the last month. That's a big question. We talked about that during the Naylor episode last night. Like, are there actually going to be teams that buy into that to the point where it actually makes sense for the Mariners to trade him? And Canzone, if you put him in Coors Field, like, he's going to destroy baseballs down there. Same thing with Tyler Locklear, right? So those are two guys that could immediately slot into the Rockies lineup tomorrow, right? And I threw in Dwell Joseph as like basically the compensation for Herget, who's like JT Chagua in this scenario. Right? He's just a guy to put in at the back end of the bullpen. He's just a mid-leverage guy that I think maybe gives you a little bit more than Carlos Vargas right now.
Yeah. I am much more hesitant to trade Tyler Locklear now than I was.
Interesting.
Yes. The changes are legit. The bat speed is actually increased as well. And he is just nuking baseballs down in Tacoma. Again, I'm willing to trade him. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not going to be upset if they do. It's just like, you don't have a first baseman on your roster next year. Locklear has made physical changes like we talk about. It's not just a hot streak or anything like that. There are changes that explain why he's doing what he's doing. And it does help him get to velocity more, which has been his biggest problem. And you remember the comps of him coming out? Christian Walker,
sure.
Paul Goldschmidt, which LOL, Jerry. But, it's one of those things where, again, I'll trade him. Don't get me wrong. And if they traded him in a deal like this, I'd still be fine. It's just, I just wanted to put it out there. Like, I'm much more hesitant to trade Locklear than I was a couple of weeks ago, even. So just for clarity, but again, I would move him in a trade like this. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, Bird gives you that third guy with Brash and Munoz that you really need. Well, fourth guy if you want to also include Spire.
Bizzardo, the disrespect. Bizzardo.
Yeah. No, Bizzardo's been great.
No longer Carlos Vargas, by the way.
No.
That dude might be out of a job pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm looking at someone like Herget. There's another guy that I'll bring up. Just that's like a middle guy, just to take a shot on that. I think probably gives you a better shot right now than Vargas.
Vargas and Thornton. Yeah.
Thornton, Kowar, maybe even.
Yeah.
So but yeah, Bird, it's going to take a bit to get Bird because, again, I think the fact that he has had success in Coors Field is going to have a little bit of an effect on his trade value. And obviously there's the club control.
Yeah, it might cost more than that.
Yeah, it might. So, again, I think a little bit of this is assuming that they're buying what Dom Canzone is selling right now.
And probably Locklear, although they have Tolia, so...
Yeah,
although he's been terrible this year. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Rockies are so hard to figure out.
Tolia was like the fantasy sleeper darling before the season, and that has
we got a lot of fan picking Fridays in the offseason about him, and it just did not work, or it hasn't worked at least.
No. All right, so we still got 2 trades apiece coming up here in just a moment. But first, a reminder: this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Game Day Hue. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Day Hue, and so is this hat that I'm wearing. For Mariners fans like me, this one hits the mark. Game Day Hue makes clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. The hat pairs perfectly with my usual gear. It doesn't replace my team's logo stuff. It just adds to the lineup. It's the kind of hat that reps your team without screaming it. Subtle, but still says everything. And it's not just hats. Check out their split shade gloves, made for the golf course or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. Right now, you can get 15% off with promo code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com. Promo code MLB15. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. It is Reverse Fan Fiction Friday, and we still got a couple trades each to go over here. Colby has a deal with the Rays. Mariners receive right-handed pitcher Joe Bole for Harry Ford.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's interesting. Tell me about
I
it.
love this trade.
All right. Why is that?
Pat myself on the back. It's really smart. It's old school. It's clever. Yeah. Both teams benefit from a long-term position of need, and Boyle helps you this year stay in the playoff race. Harry Ford would help the Rays stay in the playoff race and also give them a catcher they haven't had in a long time. And we know that the Rays really like Ford in the past. Boyle is a lot of fun. He is Matt Brash. He's 98. He sits 98, I should say, with the fastball, 98.6, I believe, technically. So he 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, wicked sliders, really good splitter that he barely throws because the fastball and the slider are so good. He has had bouts of command issues that may ultimately force him into the bullpen, much like Matt Brash. But the stuff is ungodly. He gets a ton of whiff, a ton of swing and miss. He's going to strike guys out. He's a person who you could put in your number 5 spot for the rest of this season. And then when it comes time for a playoff appearance, guess what? I have 2 Matt Brashes in the back of my bullpen now to go with Munoz and to go with Spire and Bizzardo. Like, yeah, I like my odds there. He is also totally capable of replacing Luis Castillo if they move him this winter, and he's going to make the league minimum. So that is a $22 million savings straight up right there. Boyle is, again, he had a really rough year last year throwing strikes. He's done a much better job of it this year. He's a young guy, but not so young. He's been around for a while. I know the Rays really like him. I think it's part of the reason why they might be willing to trade Taj Bradley. But at the end of the day, he is an unproven pitcher. The Rays always develop these guys. They always find these guys. They replace these guys pretty quickly. And yeah, you're trading 5 years of that pitcher for 6.5, 7 full years of Harry Ford. You feel the biggest need in your entire organization, farm system to major league with the catcher. Seattle gets the high upside arm that could be the number 5 starter next year, who has the upside to be, a number 2 with the raw stuff that he has, but at the very least is a high leverage reliever, very similar to Matt Brash. So it's essentially trading Harry Ford for Matt Brash. And I love that it's a deal that both teams, would benefit from, both in the short term and the long term. It's kind of an old school baseball trade, very reminiscent of Jesus Montero for Michael Pineda. Hopefully this time you're the one getting the Pineda, though. Yeah. I like this trade. It's simple, but it's somehow elegant. It's creative, yet it's somehow right back to basics, and both teams are going to benefit from it greatly. I love the idea of this trade. I don't think it scores very high on the likelihood scale, but in terms of creativity and fit and all that, I think it's a very high grader. So I thought about this last night, and I was looking at the numbers, and go watch some Joe Boyle highlights and you'll see the stuff. And it's like, this would be so fun. This would be such a fun baseball trade to see happen. And so again, is it likely going to happen? No, probably not, but it'd be a lot of fun if it did.
All right, so my next trade here is not sexy at all, but It does address a couple of things that I think the Mariners could use. One is a right-handed platoon partner for either Luke Raley or Dom Canzone. And again, a mid-leverage reliever who you think is a little bit better than, Jackson Kowar or Trent Thornton or, Carlos Vargas. So I have the Mariners getting Randall Grichuk and Anthony Desclafani, familiar name when it comes to the Mariners. Someone that never pitched in a Mariners uniform, but was in the organization for a little while before getting flipped to Minnesota in the Jorge Polanco deal. Diamondbacks get right-handed pitcher Evan Truitt and outfielder Rylan Thomas. So the reason why I like Desclafani, he is getting people to chase at a 34.4% clip right now. 30% whiff rate. He's striking out a ton of dudes right now.
How many innings?
Only 20 innings, but this is just, this is one of those shots that you take at the deadline. And we've seen them take a shot like this, or multiple shots like this before.
JT Sharkwa.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
with more upside.
Opposing hitters aren't hitting the ball that hard against him either. He's keeping the ball on the ground a fair amount. There's some things here to like about DeSclafani. The interesting thing, though, is he has been exclusively used in long relief by the Diamondbacks. Like, he's gone 3+ innings multiple times here over the last month. He made his season debut in mid-June, so he's only pitched like 6-7 times. The slider in particular is generating a 36.8% whiff rate right now. I like that.
Yeah.
And then Grichuk, he's a 102 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. He's not going to cost you really anything. No. They need a platoon partner. They need a better platoon partner than Dylan Moore, and that is an incredibly low bar to clear. So, yeah, Grichuk would be significantly better than what Dylan Moore has been for the last 2 months. So, pretty simple.
Mm-hmm. Nice and clean.
Yeah. All right. Last trade of the day for you, Colby. Let's deal with the White Sox. Luis Robert Jr. going to the Mariners for Walter Ford.
Also a very nice and clean, simple deal. You need a right-handed platoon hitter to play, with Dom Canzone or Luke Raley out in right field. And it sure would be nice if that guy had some upside and could do other things off the bench rather than just, hit against lefties. Well, as bad as he's been, Luis Robert still stealing bases. He still has tremendous power. He's still a plus defensive outfielder. And you can have him for very cheap. And Ford's actually having a rebound year. Like, this is not a throwaway prospect anymore like he would have been last year. Walter Ford's having a pretty nice year. He's shown some growth. I'm not sure if it's there in the numbers, but the stuff is back. It certainly, remember, he was throwing like 88 last year and it was freaking people out. Well, now the velo's back. There's some upside here, but he is still years away from the big leagues. And it does seem like his ceiling is more of a back end starter, middle relief type of guy. But that's the type of guy that you could take a shot on if you're the White Sox. And Luis Robert, you're going to have to get what you can get for him. But, right now he's just really a platoon guy with expensive options that nobody's going to pick up. So he's a platoon rental. So getting Walter Ford for that, not too shabby, and Seattle gets the upside. And again, if Robert hits lefties, maybe you give him a couple of opportunities against righties. And if you can do that, then maybe he just becomes your right fielder for the next 6 weeks, and he's hitting home runs and he's stealing base. We know what his ceiling is, MVP level stuff.
Yeah.
But even his floor, which we're witnessing right now, he's still going to hit lefties. He's still going to run the bases. He's still going to provide good outfield defense, and he still has serious power. And I can get him right now for really nothing because the White Sox are so desperate that they're even willing to eat money. A team as cheap as the White Sox to move this guy. So maybe it doesn't even cost Walter Ford, but I just thought that was a nice lottery ticket to give Chicago and maybe increase your odds of landing him because there is going to be a market for Robert.
All right. So here's my last trade. This one is admittedly based on some things that I've been hearing. And this was kind of a last minute addition. I had some other trades that I was planning on doing, because this was going to be our whole show today, but then the Naylor trade happened last night. So we were planning on doing even more trades, or at least I was planning on doing even more trades. But this one was a last minute addition just based off of a couple of things that I heard last night. So I kind of crafted a deal around that. So the Mariners receive Eugenio Suarez for Felton Celesten, Emerson Hancock, and Michael Morales. So I have heard that Emerson Hancock's name has at least come up in these talks with the Diamondbacks about Gino. So that's why he's there. I do think that it's going to take at least one top 100 type of prospect. I know some people don't think that Felton Celesten is a top 100 prospect right now. But there's also some that do still think so. And I mean, Keith Law even had him 35th overall in his most recent list.
I think Pipeline still has him top 60.
Yeah. So the industry is really split on how they feel about Celesten. So I put Celesten here, but it could be Arroyo. It could be Harry Ford. There was actually a report today that despite having Moreno and Del Castillo, the Diamondbacks are looking for catching. So Harry Ford then makes a ton of sense potentially.
Harry Ford, by the way, not in the lineup yesterday. Probably just rest.
Yeah.
But keep an eye. See if he's in the lineup tonight.
Well, you literally texted me, oh, Harry Ford's not on the lineup. And then 10 minutes later, you called me about the Naylor deal. And so I that's what I thought that was.
No.
Yeah. But
yeah, Harry Ford's not in the lineup tonight. Stay near your phones because it might be going down. But probably just a regular day off. You can't catch every single night, guys. But, this time of year.
Yeah. So Celestin is like the ultimate lottery ticket. It's just for me, I'm okay with trading him. He's near the top of the list or at the top of the list of the guys I would be most okay with the Mariners trading out of their farm system, just because look, he's so far away still. He has struggled to stay on the field a lot here early on in his pro career. And this year he's not really hitting for much power. And we'll talk about this more when we do our prospect re-rank, because he's still in the organization next month. But I'm not giving up on him. It's just if I can get a guy that can help me right now, that can actually like really impact my ball club in a big way right now, which I think Eugenio Suarez can do, then I'm willing to trade Felton and Celestin for that.
I think also the emergence of Colt Emerson as a legit above average to plus defensive shortstop certainly helps. And so does the recent drafting of Nicky Becker, who is very tooled up, much like Celestin is. So,
Yeah. So, and then, Hancock, we know that they've been looking for starting pitching. He obviously has a ton of experience now at the major league level. And again, he's someone that I've heard has come up in these negotiations. Maybe it winds up being Logan Evans. I don't know, but yeah. And then Michael Morales is just, he's a guy that might be able to pitch out of their rotation soon. I know he hasn't made his way to AAA, but I think he's pretty much done all the developing that he's going to do at this point. So maybe that's someone that the Diamondbacks would want to take a shot on. So that's kind of the general idea there. And that's kind of the structure that I've heard has been talked about between these two teams. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.